On July 12th, Obama quietly ended work requirements for welfare. You wouldn't have to work and wouldn't have to train for a job. Mitt Romney strongly believes work must be part of welfare.
Few things getting as much attention and reaction in this election as Governor Romney's ads blasting President Obama on welfare. Ads the president's re-election team and fact checkers in the mainstream media claim are false and a gross distortion of the facts. Or are they? Our next two guests, not just your ordinary experts on this. Douglas Basharov is attorney and School of Public Policy professor at the University of Maryland. He met with Hillary Clinton just before the President Clinton, passed the 1996 law requiring work for welfare. And Russell Sykes is a senior fellow at the Empire Center. He administered New York State's welfare to work programs for years. Gentlemen, welcome. It's a pleasure to have you here. So hopefully you can help even me understand this, because it's sort of a difficult concept. But under President Clinton, he passed a law that required work for welfare, and he wanted to prevent people who just didn't really want to deal with an employer from sitting at home and collecting a welfare check. He was saying, you got to get out there and you got to do a certain number of hours of work, and that's the only way we're going to give you a welfare check. It's supposed to be a hand up, not a hand out. And now, let me start with you on this, Russell. What exactly has President Obama done to that?
Well, he's issued a guidance basically to states saying that they can circumvent those rules in many ways. They use the term in the guidance that they can be judged in lieu of work requirements, at least several times in the document, which means that the very clear responsibility, personal responsibility and expectation that if you're on welfare, didn't have a job, but you were able-bodied, that at least half of the caseload that fit that definition had to look for work, had to get work, had to train for work. And now it appears to we're using fuzzier language about that.
The Obama administration, I want to stick with you on this for now, Russell. The Obama administration says, no, we are trying to increase work under the program, not decrease. And we heard that from President Clinton last week in Charlotte. They say this is basically just trying to give states more flexibility in helping families get to a place where they can find work. Is that true?
I think, frankly, two interesting responses. If they've had the authority to do this all along, using a legal backdoor, which is what they did, why didn't they do it in 2008? And secondly, I don't think it really is true. They talk about things that will be more classroom and education, more use of voc ed, more cooperation with other workforce components, all of which seem to harken back to the days before the 1996 law, where people could languish in settings that didn't really have a hope of a job, etc. And so we know that work's the best avenue out of poverty, and states that have gotten it right have recognized there will always be low-wage workers, and they've supplemented their wages through things like the Earned Income Tax Credit and many other things that can take a job that would be about an $8.50 an hour job and turn it into a job that's around $33,000 a year. And that's what we do in New York, and that's why we put people to work, because they're far better off than being on welfare.
Douglas, what do you make of it? Because PolitiFact, which is an independent group, rated these attacks as pants on fire, saying it's just blatantly not true that President Obama is trying to strip the work requirement out of the welfare laws.
Well, sometimes these political facts folks, they just get it wrong. They asked a former Republican staffer on the Hill about this provision, and he said, oh, yes, the law, this new provision that they proposed would give them the ability to gut welfare, but the Obama administration would never gut welfare. I don't believe they would do that. Well, Senator Obama was against the welfare bill. Many of the people in the administration are not supporters of the welfare bill. They believe in using everything but the mandatory work approach to welfare reform. So I think that the fact checkers just got this one wrong.
So you think in giving these states more flexibility, the Obama administration is about to give them a pass on the work requirements?
Well, the whole idea of the welfare reform law was to take flexibility away from states, frankly, because too many states had been offering job training, life skills training, Lord knows what else.
Smoking cessation, personal journaling, weight loss promotion. Those are some of the examples of how people were in some of the more lax states meeting the work requirement.
You got it. They used to be called not welfare junkies, but job training junkies. which is to say they went into job training after job training.
And so now, has President Obama reopened that door, Russell, by granting, because, you know, President Clinton even pointed out there were some Republican governors who were saying to the Obama administration, we want more flexibility, and President Clinton was saying, so he gave them that flexibility to create more work requirements, not less.
Well, I agree with Doug that, frankly, some flexibility was taken away very purposely in 2006 under the Deficit Reduction Act, but TANF is a block grant. States have broad flexibility within it already. And again, I think the door has been reopened to activities that don't lead to employment, to activities where, again, can people languish in different settings, where for periods of time that don't lead to a job. And that's a shame, because when you're on welfare, you're undoubtedly poor. When you have a job, in this state, you get a lot of supports that make you far less poor. So I don't understand the thought. It's apparently going back to the day where it's better to get a check without any personal responsibility or expectations in return than it is to work and have your benefits supplemented.
So when you see that pants on fire rating that PolitiFact gave the Romney ad, what do you make of it, Russell? Do you agree with that?
Well, no, I don't agree with pants on fire. I think the fact of the matter is that, again, I go back to if this authority to do what the administration has just done has always existed and they believed in it, why are they doing it in July of 2012 instead of soon after he was inaugurated in 2000?
What's your thought on that? Why are they doing that?
Well, I leave that to the conclusion, but I think that once again it has to do with issues of mobilizing people that they hope will turn out for them and vote.
Let me ask you this before I go. I'm up against a hard break, but are you a partisan guy, Russell?
No, not really at all. I've been in different parties all my life. I ran the TANF program fairly and equitably in New York. I just believe in work.
Same question to you, Douglas, and then I got to go.
No, and I'm not partisan. I just like to call them as I see them.
Guys, thank you both so much for being here.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All the best. Up next, the story behind an intriguing political photo that is Vice President Biden in the middle, a female biker who appears to be sitting in his lap, and that's a guy whose name tag reads troll sitting on the right. That's next.